Hey everyone, welcome to Baka-Talk. I'm joined, well, I did that wrong. I'm Boom. Hi everybody. I'm joined by Wheeze.
I'm Wheeze. Hi, everybody.
I am also joined by Ramen Cat.
Why were you so apprehensive there?
Because I forgot your name.
Yay, I'm finally being forgotten.
Because I'm used to calling you by your real name, and I'm not used to calling you by your made-up name.
What do you mean? Ramen Cat's his real name.
Yeah, how do you know that's not my real name?
His other name is
so
his
your
name.
other
do you
name's
know
your
it's-
fake name?
How do you not know that ramen is an acronym for Raymond?
Everybody loves Raymond?
My last name is actually just Cat.
Oh.
Maybe my name is Raymond Cat.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Like a jazz
So
musician.
you don't mind if I like yell across the warehouse now, like, "Hey, Raymond Cat."
No, I mind that.
Oh, okay. So I'll just call you by the fake name you gave me then.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Anyways, so yeah, welcome to the show, everybody. Today we have a rather dark and nasty topic. We're going to talk about our favorite unicorns.
I'm out. I'm just out.
My Little Pony has.
Now, in all actuality, we're going to be talking about the darkest shows we have watched, at least personally.
Okay, just gonna be upfront. I was a little confused on it, so I did a 50-50 list of horror anime that I watched and dark topic.
Well, it doesn't help that when I first wrote hey, what we're gonna do this week, I said scary,
Yeah,
and
so
then I
I
changed
thought
it the next day
I
to
thought
dark.
you meant horror. Well, I mean, okay. Good thing is horror anime usually is very dark topics.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
So yeah, to be specific, to inform Raymond Cat of the actual topic, we're talking about actual just like dark topic shows.
Okay, well, just to warn you, next week I'm gonna be Bob.
You're gonna be Bob.
Bob.
How does Raymond go to Bob?
I don't know. Bob. Last name Cat.
Next, are you just gonna be Dick?
He missed the mark.
Oh, okay. Well, anyways, yeah. Why don't we jump into the show?
Yeah.
That sounds like it hurt a lot, and your equipment is very expensive.
Are we gonna go
No,
around?
it'd be like Mario 64, where we just kind of jump through the screen.
Are we gonna- Are we doing this classic top 5 style?
Yeah, I guess so. We can
Okay.
go.
Number
Number
one.
5. No, you have to start with number 5 and then go.
Yeah, because we're always gonna go from least dark to most dark.
Number
Ah.
5, darkest anime.
Number 5, Wheeze. Why don't you start us off?
Okay, number 5 is Madoka Magica. as-
Interesting.
My 5th darkest show that I could think of that I'd watched.
So, out of your whole entire list,
Yeah.
you think Madoka Magica is the least dark?
Out of my 5, yes.
Really?
The reason is partially it has a dark concept, but the world itself isn't very dark.
Okay, that makes sense.
It is only like dark for the specific group of people.
Yeah.
And the concept's very dark because it's just this alien being that is tricking girls to give up their life for what they think is just like to be a superhero or
Yeah.
whatever, when in actuality they are becoming batteries that are going to explode and give the universe power.
It wouldn't even be that bad. Okay, in a sense of the grand scale of things, it wouldn't be that bad if it was they just explode and become like basically power for these aliens.
Yeah.
That's pretty dark on its own. It's the fact that they go mad, turn into
Yeah.
these witches that kill or hurt other people,
Yeah.
and then they explode.
It's kind of messed up.
Yeah. But yeah, I do agree with you. Madoka Magica is pretty
Plus,
dark.
the alien doesn't even tell them because just kind of like whatever to them. She's just like, oh yeah, that's why we do it, so we can get power from
That's
you.
the like most disturbing part of the
Yeah.
show is the cat or whatever what's its name?
QB.
QB is totally nonchalant throughout the
Yeah.
entire show, and you can't freaking get rid of it.
Even when they find out, it's just like, yeah, that's just how it works.
Yeah.
And it's like, what's the
They
big
just
deal?
kind of assume that you knew that.
Yeah.
It's just like, yeah, that's
It's like,
how
you
we
didn't
did this.
tell me. It's like, I didn't know I had to. It's just kind of what happens.
I don't know. The show is pretty dark though with the relationships too. Like
yeah.
the relationship between I am drawing blanks on every single Madoka Magica character. The blue one. I only know them by color.
Yeah.
The blue one in Madoka. The pink
Yeah.
one. Because they're all color coded, thankfully. I at least know colors.
Yeah.
Like their relationship, like how just like them gaining that power and
Mhm.
going through these situations, like how it tears them apart.
Yeah.
And then like the ending where the blue girl actually turns into a witch.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. That alone, just like that relationship, like you don't see that type of deterioration between like friends in most
Yeah.
anime, which is kind of interesting.
So it's a pretty dark show. It's also like the first couple episodes it doesn't really show how dark it is. And then like something happens and it's like, "Oh, this is kind of dark." And then at the very end you're like, "Oh, this is really dark."
Yeah, it's kind of got like that same School Live type
Yeah.
of feels like, oh,
Yeah.
this is just gonna be a happy slice of life.
It's definitely one of those like trick like shows where it looks happy. And that's
Yeah.
part of what I think makes it more dark, cuz some of the worlds where everything is super dark, it kind of like loses its intensity because the whole thing is like that.
Kind of
So
like
when there's
Attack on Titan.
Yeah, Attack on Titan is like that, where it's like if it's dark show, but it's kind of like it's just a thing that happens.
Yeah,
So
Just
it's
dark fantasy.
yeah, it's not that like horrifying because it happens all the time.
Right, exactly. My number 5 is Akadama Drive. And this is kind of so this premise of it is there's this dystopian future that's kind of ran by this government that well, in all dystopian futures kind of like just brainwashes the population to think that they're like living their best life, right?
Mhm.
And there's these criminals called Akadama, and basically they're like they're not a resistance. They're not going against the government, but they have broken out of the matrix, as Andrew Tate would say, and they live their own life, and they're wanted by the government. And this girl, she's living a normal life, like part of society, and she gets framed as a criminal. And basically, she ends up getting in with this Akadama group, and they like are on this heist to break into this mythical city that when you get enough wealth, you can move into the city and be happy forever. And it goes on from there, but the dark part of it is just how what's a good way to put it? It's dark in the fact that all the characters have such a messed up like backstory, but yet like they have like no like sense of good or right.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
they
More-
just are
more
out
of-
from themselves. So like they'll go through any means to get what they want, but at the same time, like you'd think there's like a countering like force, like a good force, but there's not. There's just a tyrannical government that is just as messed up as they are. So it's like it's just this giant pool of nastiness, and technically, like the good guys are the criminals fighting the government, but in all reality, it's like everybody's just like messed up
Yeah.
and like just dark and evil, and kind of the main character slowly realizes that, and she ends up becoming like a martyr to kind of help the people like rise up throughout the grime and stuff like that. It's kind of got a good ending, like kind of a upbeat ending in a way, but it's like in a very dark way. So it's a good show. I'm actually gonna buy it on Blu-ray, but
Nice.
it's kind of got that Ocean's 11 type like heist vibe to it.
Oh, okay.
That's cool.
But it's got like a lot of criminal things. Like there's a doctor where she literally can stitch herself together, like even if like she's got her head cut off. So it's like it's not opposed to gore, it's not opposed to violence, but it's kind of like how dark and grimy the city is, and then technically the good guys are still the criminals.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
There's
that's kind of what
no
makes it like a
actual
dark show.
good guy.
Yeah, exactly. What do you got, Raymond Cat?
I have for number 8 on my list. I'm not gonna read through all of these.
That's good.
I have Evangelion actually.
Evangelion is a dark show. How do you get that idea?
Nah, like aside from I'm going more atmospheric than the initial theme of it.
Oh, okay.
Because the show right off the bat, like aside from it being just about like dealing with trauma and depression and things outside of your control, which are always just kind of not pleasant topics. It all kind of plays into a kind of Lovecraftian feel of just like absolute hopelessness.
Yeah, things way out
Yeah.
of your control.
Yeah, and it's like it sets that tone with like the first time Shinji goes into the city and you just see this huge freaking monster looming over the city,
Yeah.
walking. Like to me, what really set the tone is like the part of like that angel walking is like kind of that sun ripple effect. Is like the
Yep.
sun's behind. It's like that scene alone, just like it was like, hey, this is not going to be a fun ride.
You know what's funny is you say the sun ripple effect. That's not the sun.
That's not.
That was a 12-ton nuclear bomb they dropped. on
Oh,
it.
that's right.
Because if you remember, the very first scene of it is actually the Tokyo Defense Force, like just firing everything they had at it.
Yeah.
And then Nerve was given, or the Nerve was trying to tell them, just let us release the Ava. And the government's like, no, we're just going to nuke this sucker. So they drop like a 12-ton something nuclear bomb on it and it just walks out of it.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. But it's just like the love, like not in a horror sense, but like just the Lovecrafting ambience. The fact that you have these things coming from somewheres beyond like space, basically,
Yeah.
that are aside from like using these giant machines that are the equivalent of them. Like it just they're these creatures that are kind of beyond comprehension. Like their art styles are even in a sense of like they just don't make sense.
Yeah. Well, it's funny too, because like Evangelion, I mean, in the later shows, especially in the rebuilds, they tell you it's from outer space.
Yeah,
But
they
like
don't
in the
know
first
where.
part of the show and like most of the show, they don't really tell you where they're from.
Yeah.
So there's a whole arc where Asuka tries killing an angel that was just in a volcano.
Yeah. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like it like hatched in the volcano almost.
Yeah.
It's kind of
And-
definitely got that.
I think what really tops it off is the final parts of it where it's like essentially just Armageddon happens.
Yeah.
Like just artistically, that just it's one of those things, the way they did the artwork and stuff, it's just basically all hope is lost
Yep.
type thing.
Yeah.
It's so dystopian. It's that abstract, like everything is gone, everything is wrong
Yeah.
type thing. And to me, that's what I actually liked about Evangelion was just like all that kind of Lovecraftian theme.
Yeah, for sure. That's
I think
definitely a
that's-
good route of it.
Yeah, I think that's probably some of the best part of the show.
Yeah.
I do like I understand why they went more for like the theme of like around Shinji's thing. I do wish they would have had at least something to focus a little bit more on like the angels and stuff. But
Well, it's weird because they ran out of budget. And
yeah,
also, Ano was not in the best mindset, which in people's argument is what makes Evangelion so good. But in the same way, he wasn't making a traditional anime.
it was an art piece.
It was
essentially.
it was an outlet for his own problems, and it was also in a way to get back at anime.
Yeah. Yeah, because it was breaking out of the tradition. Because I know Evangelion was kind of considered controversial for quite some time.
in a way, he was kind of wanting it to be like the last anime. Because, like, in his, if I remember right, there's an interview and he talks about how anime is in a way of form that keep people like. He kind of thought it was like a way for people to stay depressed because, like, if all they did was watch anime all day, they wouldn't go outside.
Yeah.
So, like, he kind of found that a problem a little bit back then.
He hadn't been introduced to Twitter.
That's true.
And then social media came around and it's like, yeah, maybe you should go back to watching anime.
Go back into the room.
That's
It's safer
healthier.
there.
All right. Looping back to
Bob.
Sir Weaselot.
For number 4, I have The Promised Neverland. This is also, especially the first season. I don't know what it's like later on. I know they kind of have like a rebellion thing. I need to read the manga and whatever, but
Just read the manga. Don't watch the show.
I know. I'm gonna read it and then watch the show and then probably compare them. But the first season, especially in the beginning of the story, is like it's a terrifying concept of similar to Madoka Magica, where it starts out with a certain like idea and then it twists it and it's like you're just kids in an orphanage. You're actually cows that are about to be slaughtered
Yeah.
for these monsters that want to eat you. And it's just a really creepy concept and terrifying concept of like imagining growing up and knowing what your like situation is, and then just finding out everything is a lie and you're just being processed for
So
food.
childhood, just in general.
Yeah, no way.
Yeah, except you're being processed for food for alien monsters.
Instead, just real life is just being processed to crush your soul.
There's also, I don't know, like I'm sure a lot of it's revealed later on in the story, but there is like a ton of mysteries of like, is this the only farm? Probably not.
Yeah.
Like, is this on Earth or is this some other planet? Did the aliens come and take over Earth? Like,
Right.
what happened? Because there's obviously humans and there's people that like take care of these kids, but they are just there to be like nurtured enough so that they taste better when they're eaten.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really dark too because like when the main character finds out about it, it's the way they find out about it is because one of their friends that they
Yeah.
grew up with literally like they find him dead.
Mm-hmm.
And like that makes them all realize that every single person that's ever left
left.
orphanages
Yeah.
been eaten. And that's like I don't know, that's like one of the darkest things like in
Yeah.
that show is just realizing like how long it's gone for.
And
like
they
that's
all-
not a new thing.
Yeah, they all looked forward to leaving.
Yeah.
Because it was like, oh, we're finally getting adopted. When it was actually just they were getting sent out.
Yeah.
That's the day, their shipping date. So
And it's weird too because like the show has a lot of really weird urgency in a lot of the scenes, like them trying to like get around Mother and stuff like that. So they
Yeah.
don't get caught. In a weird way, it's very much like a what's the show I'm thinking of? Outlast, the video game.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, where you're hiding from the monsters, kind of like that, but
Yeah.
in anime form.
it is interesting. It kind of mixes the fear of like childhood being afraid of your parents,
Yeah.
like catching you, and also being like, these people are trying to kill me.
Yeah, it is. That's it's cool and very messed up at the same
Yeah.
time. Especially the second mother that comes in.
Yeah.
The way they animate her facial
She's-
expression. And then when she chases the children,
Yeah.
you're just like, oh god, I think this woman's gonna eat them herself.
It is a really dark concept for the like the mothers too, who are like doing a job, which
Yeah.
is like taking care of these kids in the best way they can, but that just leads them to being eaten and killed.
Yeah.
And then obviously the mothers are, they're kind of forced to be in that situation too because of the world state. So
Yep. It is very
it's
odd.
a really messed up situation.
Let's see. So my number 4, getting darker here, is called Moho Shoujo Sight. It's very much a magical girl anime along the lines of Madoka Magica. Besides for where Madoka Magica gets progressively darker, this just starts out like straight up dark. The main character is like thinking about just killing herself because she's bullied all the time, and she believes she actually has like the worst luck ever because like everybody hates her parents, her teachers, her friends, everybody.
Mm.
And then all of a sudden she finds this online site that promises like just one wish, and she of course clicks on it like everybody in a phishing scheme.
Yeah.
And the next thing she knows when she goes to school next is she gets this gun that has a barrel in the shape of a heart. She's like, what the heck is this? Anyways, these two girls that are bullying her like chase her around, bully her, and they're like literally kicking the crap and like beating her half to death in like the bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
And she pulls out the gun and points it at them. And they're like, what are you going to do with that? And she doesn't even know what this thing does. She just gets so mad that her magical girl powers activate. She pulls the trigger, and this cloud of smoke in the shape of heart just like poofs and makes them disappear. And what she
Dang.
doesn't realize is that gun transports you to wherever you want to be.
Mm.
Like wherever you're thinking about being. And she was thinking about the train tracks where she was going to jump in front of a train
Oh,
and commit suicide at that time. So the two girls get popped in there and they get ran over by a train.
yikes.
And then she meets this other girl that can stop time. And this girl's literally been like, she'll pop into reality to make reality move forward like a little bit, but
Mhm.
most of the time she just like stays in like the time still like reality. Most of the time she hates her life so much. There's another girl that she gets her powers. She commits like self harm, and so the site gives her powers. That's a razor blade. So whenever she cuts herself, she can just heal others.
Dang.
Yeah. So it's like a very messed up like magical girl show. And the main premise is there's these aliens that give them this power, like in every magical girl show,
Mhm.
but they are actually raising up armies to fight up against this end of the world thing called a calamity. And not only that, but there's different alien groups that have different magical girl groups, and those groups have to fight each
Oh,
other.
that's
Jeez.
that's pretty wild.
It's just all messed up. It's really hard show to talk about because there's a lot to it, and a lot of people say it's just kind of nothing but like drama and such like that. But
Yeah.
if you get into the show, it's got a lot of allegories to like actual like childhood problems. Like this is one girl, this is kind of like the darkest topic, is she's a very famous person. But the reason she's famous is because she joined that site, became a magical girl, and she got underwear that whenever she wears it, anybody she talks to will do anything that she wants.
Hmm.
It's kind of an allegory to how like um basically being famous can take like your innocence away.
Yeah.
So it's got like a lot of subject matters like that. And the worst part is the more you use your magical girl powers, the less lifespan you have.
Oh, okay.
So like basically it's just like Madoka Magica, where like if you use too much of it, you will turn into a witch. Besides from this, you just die.
Die. Okay.
And because the aliens don't really care about like gaining power from you, they're just like, we want an army to fight against this unknown force that's coming to like destroy us all. So yeah, it's kind of dark like that.
That sounds pretty cool.
It's cool, but it's also like super messed up. It's one of those shows I watched when I binged, just like on a weekend. I saw it and I was like, I'm just gonna watch this.
One of those things where you don't blink until Monday. We're like, what did I just watch?
Yeah, and it was like it wasn't until Monday. It was like Sunday morning. I'm just like, where am I? What am I doing with my life? Why did I just watch this? All right, Raymond Cat, what do you got for your next one?
For my next one, it's just more in just like the old like creepy stories genre. Is a, as far as I know, very little known anime called Pet Shop of Horrors.
I've heard of it. I don't know what it is though.
It is they're all just these little mini stories, and it's about this guy. I think he's like a sorcerer or something from China,
Oh, okay.
and he runs a shop that's just all these exotic pets, but like all the pets are things out of the ordinary. Like there's this one where, and it's basically the whole show is kind of an analogy of be careful what you wish for, be sure it's what you want.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's like this one where this, I think it's like a, I don't remember, it's been so long since I've seen the show, but like this Yakuza guy buys this tiger painting. He wants a tiger. And he says, okay, well, if you want a tiger, buy this thing, this
Yeah.
thing, but be very careful about it. It's a very dangerous pet. Well, it's the guy has the tiger painting. If I remember right, when his back's turned, the tiger comes out of the painting and kills him.
Oh, geez.
So it's like these cursed things. The one that stuck out to me the most, and it's just kind of horror fashion, is the pet shop owner finds a mermaid. And he found her like washed up on the shore. He's like, oh, there's not a lot of these anymore. I'm going to take care of it and stuff. And this guy comes into, like, this rich guy comes into his shop and he's like, I want the most exotic pet you have. And he's like offering a bunch of stuff. And then he sees like the mermaid. He's like, no, I want that. It's like, no, you don't. You don't want this. And he's like, yes, I do. I'll pay anything. Like he starts insulting the guy. He's like, okay, I guess.
The mermaid eats him, doesn't she?
Well, yes. And like fast forward, like the guy's keeping the mermaid in his pool. And like there's very strict rules of, don't let her allure you or anything
Yeah.
like that. Well, in the end, like he allows that to happen. The mermaid kills him, But in the end, you find out like the police are at this place, like they find like bits of him and stuff. Well, the mermaid never actually looked like a mermaid. It's this giant, like freaking abyssal, monstrous fish that like casts an illusion.
Oh, so it's like the actual like mermaid tales.
Yeah, it's like
Oh,
this
okay.
huge, like monstrous fish. And the pet shop guy was taking care of because it's like mermaids are almost extinct. So his
Yeah.
plan was nurture it back to health and then let it go.
Why?
Because he collects monsters and stuff
Oh,
and just
okay.
sees to it that they, can still survive. But I don't know, just that story particular. I don't
Yeah.
remember any of the rest other than the tiger one, but that one particularly just always stuck out to me. It's like,
So is it more like an anthology where it's just like different like customers come in?
yeah,
Okay.
yep, and it's just the store owner, and he usually has. It's kind of like a Tales from the Crypt style show.
Yeah, that's
and,
what I was
like,
thinking of.
The shop owner has like, well, this happened to you because of this, like you were
Yeah.
selfish or this, or it would have worked out if you.
So
didn't
he's
do
the
this.
old man that like eventually ends up knowing what happens to everything that like
Yeah, because he always has to go and clean up the mess by just
Ah.
reclaiming the item or pet or creature.
Oh, that's messed up. That's cool.
It's an interesting show. I've been meaning to add it back to my roster of Halloween stuff. It's fun.
Yeah. Sounds like a fun
It's
show.
a 90s anime, so I think I'm probably totally wrong, but it's like kind of
Yeah.
the older school style.
I've been wanting to get into more 90s anime. I kind of want to watch. It's coming out as a remake on Netflix, but Spriggan.
Yeah, you and I were talking about that. Like the original Spriggan, like the fight scenes are amazing.
Yeah, it looks super good. Anyways, Bivouac.
Okay, I have number 3.
His name is Cornelius Bivouac Wees.
Yeah.
Oh
You didn't know that?
no.
I thought you guys were friends. Jeez.
Yeah.
Don't even know his real name.
No, I mean, hey.
I mean, you just told me your real name,
Yeah,
Raymond.
Raymond Bobcat.
Bobcat?
Bobcat.
Raymond Bob, that's your name?
Yep.
Raymond Bobcat.
Cat.
Nice.
Well,
The
anyways.
10th.
Okay. Dude, would you like to tell us anything else? Are you royalty?
No.
Okay.
Just a
I'm
very
just an emperor.
unoriginal
Just an emperor.
line of parents. There's just 10 generations of Raymond Bob. Okay, and my number 3, which must have been a mistake because this is a very wholesome anime, but Made in Abyss.
Yeah, that's like the most wholesome.
This is an
anime of all
extremely
time.
wholesome anime. There might be a few dark moments, but it's very wholesome and sweet.
Cornelius, I think you were drunk.
The slightly dark aspects is way worse than my other 2 by quite a lot,
Yeah.
because it's not just concepts of like children getting eaten, which is very disturbing. This has concepts of like children being cursed to.
His show's got freaky H.R. Geiger written all over it.
It has
Yeah, it does.
children cursed to lose their humanity, children cursed to lose their humanity while also becoming immortal, so they are stuck until the end of time as this blob of flesh that can't do anything.
Sorry, it's not Geiger. It's Cronenberg.
There is children
What's the
cursed.
difference?
Cronenberg does body horror.
I thought
Yeah.
Geiger did too.
No, Geiger does weird abstract horror. Cronenberg does body horror like
Oh.
The Thing.
This is very body horror. There is like a child cursed to constantly give birth to children that die immediately and right in front of her. That happens at a continuous cycle every single day.
Yeah, like she can have the child. It's alive for a day, but then it dies.
Because she got this amulet thing, and they were all dying from drinking the water because it had some like thing in it
Yep.
that boiling didn't like.
It's
prevent
basically a
it.
brain parasite that like makes
Yeah.
them like literally.
They had diarrhea. And
They have
stuff.
diarrhea until they die.
Die. So she gets this amulet thing, and it has some kind of power that they don't really know, like grants
A
wishes
wishing
kind
stone.
of thing.
Yeah.
So the one guy who's kind of like the what's the word for it? Like the priest kind of, he's like the spiritual leader of the group,
Mhm.
is like, let's give it to her, this little girl, because I have a feeling she's gonna be this she's gonna save us. and he gives it to her, and her wish was that she wanted to have children because they found out she couldn't have children, so she was exiled from her village. So she constantly gives birth to these creatures that die immediately because they're not like developed enough. The guy finds out if you cook these and eat these, it saves you from the problem from the water. So now she has to watch her children get taken away from her while they're still alive and chopped up and eaten.
Sounds like some Bloodborne crap there.
So
Yes, it is. It very much is.
it's
Not only that, but she keeps on growing.
yeah. Eventually it stops. She turns into like this whole thing, but it's a horrifying concept. And the whole show is just full of that kind of stuff. It starts
The
out
fun part is that's season 2. You want to know what happens in season 1?
there's
Sure.
there's creatures,
Actually, a lot more wholesome stuff.
there's creatures that will like mimic the sounds of their victims right as they die,
Yep.
hoping that so there's like a sound of like, help me, I need help, and they look over there and it's this creature that's eating this guy who's already dead.
Dude, this is just the back rooms.
Yeah.
So it makes that noise to like lure people. There's a bunch of like horrible creatures, and as you get deeper it just gets more like insane what the creatures
The most messed up premise of this is it's the abyss. It's
Yeah.
it's a hole in the center to basically the center of the earth, and each layer has a different curse set upon it. So like the first, I think 2 layers, you just get like dizzy and
Yeah.
nauseous walking back up. 3rd layer, you might like pass out, something like that. Somebody might have to like help you up.
So one thing I'm
Uh,
confused about, are you descending or are you ascending? the abyss?
Descending.
So when you go down, there's no problem. If you go back up, you get hit with the curse.
Yeah. And then by the time you get to the 6th layer, once you get past the 6th layer, if you go up 3 feet, you drop dead.
Yeah.
So like have the main characters already went all the way down into the abyss or
No, they're trying to get down to the
Yeah.
oh, so they're
bottom.
seeing all the stuff
There's
as they're going.
down-
This
going
just
down,
sounds
yeah.
kind of like Dante's Inferno.
It's a play.
It
on
is,
Dante's
yeah.
Inferno.
It is similar. And then
so when
but
do we get to the Pope tubes?
the thing about the
The Pope tubes. Oh,
the thing about the abyss is that the people that like the adventures in the abyss are like have this weird like spiritual drawing to the abyss where like they kind of feel like their life would be meaningless if they didn't have the abyss. It like gives purpose to like everyone who adventures it. Everyone, like a lot of the people feel like they're called to the abyss, and that's like part of the main character is she feels like called to the adventure of the abyss.
not only that, but she was born in the abyss.
Yeah.
And then was set into this artifacts. There's ancient artifacts, which is like the main reason a lot of people go around the abyss is to find these. And she was placed in that as a child and brought back up. And she was basically because she died in the abyss, and then she was kind of brought back to life. But she was always had this strong yearning to go back in. Like even when she was a baby, she was like crawling towards the abyss.
Is this just a giant hole? People like, don't go near the gates of hell, Timmy.
Oh no, there's a whole city built around it.
Oh,
It's like a
You
big
can just like
tourist
randomly
attraction.
accidentally just fall into the abyss.
And the first couple layers are pretty safe. Like
Yeah.
it's not that dangerous. But as soon as you go deeper, then it's like really dangerous territories, and they generally don't let people go down that deep unless they're a certain rank
Yeah.
in the
like
system.
children are actually set, children from the orphanage are actually set to like mine like the abyss for artifacts.
And then they sell them to like other countries and stuff because
Yeah.
it's like a big touristy thing.
The abyss is basically like an island in the middle of the ocean.
okay.
Yeah.
It's actually a really cool show.
The world is incredible. It's really
Yeah.
interesting. Very wholesome too.
Very nice.
Except
show.
for a few slightly scary dark parts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what's more wholesome and more upbeat?
What?
Our sponsor.
Our sponsor,
All right.
Anchor at time.
I was waiting for you to say ad time.
And we're back.
Dang, we peaked.
Oh, we peeked
Oh.
back on episode 50. We're just like riding this dead horse into the ground.
Oh. So where'd we leave off?
We left off on number.
Oh yeah, I
Three?
just talked about Made in Abyss. It
Yeah.
is now to
Me.
Yeah, I kind of
The Bew.
blacked out between the rants and the scotch.
Anyways, my number 3 is Black Lagoon. Black Lagoon is about this pirate smuggling company called the Black Lagoon Shipping Company that works in the China Sea on this island that's nothing but like the Chinese triad, the Russian like
That was a
mafia.
cluster of islands.
It is a cluster of islands,
a
but there's
la-
like this main island,
It's
kind
a
of like Hawaii.
lagoon. Is it like a lagoon?
A
Or
lagoon?
What are those things called? The food thing? A lagoon.
Legume.
Lagoon.
I don't know.
I don't even know what a lagoon is.
It's a potatoes.
I know they call themselves the Black Lagoon.
No, peanuts are because they're not a nut.
Oh,
Yeah.
So it's Peanut Lagoon.
Sure. Anyways, this is a dark show because the main characters are actually pretty good, besides for like Revy. She's like a psychopath murderer. But it's the people that are around them. And the main character is Brock. And he is a Japanese businessman that gets screwed over by his own company. He's like transporting these secret like tax files across the sea, and he gets robbed by the Black Lagoon Company. Well, they hold him ransom, and his company's like, well, we consider him dead. Like, we're holding his funeral and stuff. So, like, you can just like kill him off. He's like, well, screw you guys. I'm gonna join the pirates. So he does.
Nice.
As there's like, and basically the show goes into like him like being introduced to like the nun habit or hobbit. Was it a habit? Habit on the island. That's actually like a drug and gun smuggling ring. And also like the Chinese triad, which is like probably the best bad guys on the whole on the whole island. There's the Russian mafia as well. But anyways, there's like really dark ones. Like there's this girl. She's a maid for this Mexican or Spanish rich family. And she was like part of like the resistance, and basically like her whole story arc goes into like the son was like kidnapped. So instead of like calling the police, they like just send her over to like reclaim him, and she like ends up like mass murdering hundreds of people just to get to the son.
That sounds like a pretty normal maid to me.
Oh yeah, she's pretty normal. She's a great freaking maid, but like she's also like psychopathic. And there's a whole like OVA about her like just going on this mass murdering spree because the head of the family gets murdered by like these assassins. So she like goes back to the island just to hunt down these assassins.
Oh yeesh.
The really dark one is like they go into like things like child trafficking and stuff like that. It really talks about like crime and how like in a way crime is everywhere and it's bad, but also at the same time it's people just like in really bad situations.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
No, like the business guy, the main character.
Yeah, like he
it's
was just a
literally-
normal person that got screwed over by his company.
Yeah.
Now he's like part of this pirate smuggling group.
Yeah.
So it's cool. Like there's this one character that was just like a doctor that wanted to become a doctor, but got blamed for murder. So now they just like basically cut up dead bodies for anybody that pays them and like disposes of them.
Dang.
Yeah, it's cool. That one walks around with a chainsaw, and when there's a bounty on the main group, like she chased after them with a chainsaw. That was a scary scene because like they had him cornered, and the only thing that saved him is the chainsaw ran out of gas. But anyways, that's mine. That one's the third one. Past this, all of them are like super dark.
Nice.
Anyways, I forgot your real name.
Raymond.
Raymond
Bob.
Raymond Bob.
I'm gonna probably like just looking at it, jump around my list a little bit because there was 8 things here, but
Were you drunk as well writing it?
yeah.
Nice. Because I know you did this on your break at work.
I'm gonna just go to my number 3 and go with Gaio, or also known as Plague of Fish by Ito Junji.
I know this one, and this one's messed up.
I never seen the anime, but the manga is just it's gross, it's dark, it's
The anime is a
off-putting.
movie, as far as I know. We should watch the movie.
Eh.
Yeah.
eh.
Yeah.
I don't know, like reading stories, if a story kind of has like certain themes, it just kind of makes me feel nauseous reading through it. And this definitely did, because it's literally about these fish, these dead fish
Yeah.
swarming onto land. And you find out that these dead fish are the result, like not the fish themselves, but are the result of an old Japanese like World War II experiment of like a microbe living weapon.
Oh.
And what it does is it assimilates with like any living thing it comes in contact with that's got like a nervous system. It builds like this like exo thing around whatever it is. Like in one part, there's like a whale going down the street with these giant like spider legs. And what
Oh.
it does is it kills its host, but then it takes the gases from the corpse and pumps into the corpses to power them and move.
Dang.
So it's like all these fish swarm onto this island, and slowly you find out it's like it's happening all over the world.
Yeah.
And it's like gradually, like suddenly now it's like all these corpses are releasing this gas that's infecting other things like people and stuff. So it, like bloats these people in like these distorted shapes. They're vaguely alive, like they can utter words and stuff, but like so you have these huge misshapen humans on these spider leg things, and certain people are immune to it, like the main character is immune to it. But then it's like as he's going through watching like the world just fall apart, then they run across like this crazy like carnival that like they can see the spirits in the gas and stuff, and it's like they're all like bonkers off the wall, and like this ringmaster's collected like all these abominations caused by this gas, and it's just like he has like this big show going. And at the end of the manga, at least as far as I'm sure it's the end of the manga, you see him like I don't remember what it was. There's like this huge swarm of something, and this crazy ringmaster has made this decayed carnival war machine firing gas bloated corpses at all of these fish and gas clouds and stuff.
Oh. Okay. That's
It like goes full Warhammer, just like Nurgle.
okay. That's something.
gets-
Fire with fire.
It gets messed up. Like it's a weird like story. Even for Ito Junji stuff, it's weird.
Yeah.
And it's dark and depressing because like the main character's girlfriend gets infected and she disappears because I think his dad is like a scientist. Well, turns out rather than trying to help her or like save her from it, they figured out how to rig her up with like a actual mechanical like exo thing. And like she ends up dying trying to save her boyfriend from like these other like corpse thingies.
And she's like half corpse, half like.
No, she's full corpse, but she's like aware and conscious.
Oh, that'd be horrible.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That
And it's
actually
like the-
that makes me. I know this sounds super messed up, but that actually makes me want to watch the show. Just like it sounds like it's got a lot of interesting themes.
It's got an interesting foretelling too, because like it starts out like his girlfriend, like they're on vacation on this island, and like she has like extra sensitive smelling, so it's like she keeps getting like this constant smell of like decay, even
Yeah.
though there's nothing going on. All of a sudden, it's like it's because
Mhm.
of this bio weapon thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Plague of Fish, Guile.
Nice.
Fun times. I don't like fish.
Nice. How about you, Wheeze?
My number 2. So all my other ones were like horrifying or dark concepts. And this is, I think, the darkest concept. It's Death Parade. Because it's literally dealing with souls. And the whole concept is just the like arbiter that decides who gets go to heaven or reincarnated and who gets sent to hell.
Yeah.
And so it's a really like it's the darkest concept of any of them, because it's not just like, oh, this is a bad thing that happened in real life. It's like this is the end of everything.
Yeah,
So-
like you either go into the void or you get reincarnated.
Yeah.
There's like no middle ground. I guess you can technically stay in the limbo.
You can chill in the limbo for a while, but eventually you get sent.
Yeah, eventually you have to go one way or another. But yeah, it is really odd how it's set up. Like the story behind it is like these arbiters were created by God.
Yeah.
to like judge people because they don't have emotions.
Yeah, so they're supposed to be impartial, but they're also not perfect.
They're also most of them crazy.
So there's also situations where it's like, I might have made a mistake here and sent the wrong person to the void.
Yeah, exactly. It always deals with like two people. Like people
Yeah.
are always paired up to like one of you has to go to the void, one of you has to. Well, actually, no. There were situations where both of them went to reincarnation, right?
I think there might have been. Usually it was you send one on and one not.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure if it had to be that way. But yeah.
That's definitely an interesting show. It is dark because a lot of the games that they play, because it's called Death Parade, but like they're like they play games to tell the true personality of people, like if they're
Yeah.
truly good or truly bad, and like most of the games are like really stressful.
Mhm.
That like it brings out the worst in people,
Hmm.
like bowling with somebody's heart.
Yeah. And then they see what people are really like in the end, and it kind of like puts the extra stress on them. And then they tell them you're actually already dead and this is just a test and now we're sending you off.
Yeah,
Hear me out. You throw the arbiter out into the void and you take over the bar because you always wanted to be a bartender. This is my bar now.
that's a really good show. It's a
Yeah.
good watch,
It's
but
a
it
really
has got
interesting
some really
concept.
dark concepts.
It is, yeah, it is probably one of the darkest, maybe the darkest concept
Yeah.
because of just how it's just dealing with like this is your whole existence being thrown to the void.
Mm-hmm. That's definitely one.
And that's still just my number 2.
What's your number one?
Stay tuned. What's your number 2, Bume?
My number 2 is Berserk.
Berserk.
I never read the manga, so I don't know it all. But I did watch the old, and I watched the. I don't know where these take place, but there's a movie trilogy
Yeah.
thing called the Golden Arc
The golden
Egg
golden era or whatever. I don't
Era
remember.
trilogy
Yeah.
or whatever. And basically, it takes place technically like right before the manga, I believe.
Yes, the
Like
manga.
they tell the story in the manga, but this like takes that whole story, puts it together, and it shows you everything that happened up to the point where Guts gets betrayed by what's his name? Griffith.
The manga starts after that and it goes through this arc and then it does the prequel.
Yeah.
And goes back to what those movies are. And then it goes back to.
Yeah. And then I did technically watch season 1 of I think the 2017 anime. And so that's my Berserk knowledge.
Yeah.
And what I know of Berserk is mainly the movie trilogy because that was like the most messed up. I think Berserk was the first really messed up show I ever watched. Because like I thought it was just gonna be like a dark fantasy of them killing monsters.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, well, at first I was like, okay, it's just like the movies were messed up because they're older, right? Like they're like the 90 or whatever movies. And of course, you have the betrayal of Griffith and stuff, and that's all really messed up. And like the band of the Hawk getting eaten and stuff like that. But then you go into the movies or the first season, and the first season is actually pretty faithful to the first part of the manga, I believe.
I mean, aside from the terrible,
terrible animation.
Yeah.
But then you have this crazy like priest knight girl that's like into like BDSM stuff because she like whips herself to like get penance. But then she almost gets raped by like a horse, which was not cool. Never do that. That's a bad idea. And then she gets possessed by a demon. And then you find Guts' girlfriend. I forget her name. The knight.
Casca.
Yeah. And you find out she had a child, I think.
Yeah.
Griffith's child.
Yeah, kind of.
I'm trying to remember. I'm also trying not to spoil it at the same time.
It's Guts' child that was like defiled by Griffith.
Because he can do that.
Because he's a demon.
Anyway, she's like mindless and like just totally traumatized, and she's like being held captive by these people, and it's weird.
Yeah,
it's dark. Like Berserk is like the darkest show anime probably out there, besides from maybe like Claymore.
Yeah, Berserk
for like fantasy.
Yeah, It's
Berserk is probably
feel
the
like
worst.
Guts like just needs the Predator suit from Doom and needs to swap out his sword for a shotgun.
a lot of it is just really disturbing, like the world itself, like
Yeah.
demons and how they work and how they reproduce and what they do, and just
Everything is just so like cranked up to 11 on how dark it could be.
yeah.
Makes it a really good story, but
And the
it's definitely
story,
a dark setting.
yeah, the story's messed up. There's parts of after that he gets Casca, and
Yeah.
then she journeys with him, but she like starts to warm up to him a little bit more, even though she's kind of like still in her mental like shock
Yeah.
state. She kind of associates him with bad things, so it's hard for her to be around him.
Yep.
She starts to warm up to him a little bit, and then he gets the berserker armor,
Yeah.
which starts making him go crazy because of how it like controls him, and just him going crazy from fighting this stuff, that he kind of bites Casca at one point, and he has to get like thrown off of her, and then she's really traumatized from him.
Oh, geez.
So it just kind of gets bad and then gets worse.
Yeah, I forgot the whole like I didn't get
Like,
to that part.
yeah, that's
but,
later
the berserk
on.
armor is messed up.
The berserker armor is pretty intense.
If you'd like the PG version of this, just play Elden Ring.
Oh, we can go into that. That's a whole that's not PG. Anyways, Raymond, I'm just gonna call you Ramen. Cat. Mr. Cat. to you.
Cat-san.
Bobcat man.
Bobcat Sir Udon Noodle.
What's your next one?
My next one is a anime movie that I'm gonna say seen 90% of this, like because I've always had to like compile parts of it to watch it. Is Shinjuku Demon City.
I have never heard of this.
It is a messed up 90s horror anime movie. It's basically so like Shinjuku is a city that is like it's a parallel of itself. There's the human side and then there's the demon side. And when we mean demon side, we mean like rapey 90s demon side. But there's this organization on both sides that makes sure that humans don't interact with the demon world and demons don't interact with the human world. And it's about this guy that gets assigned to a job to work with the guy's a human and he gets assigned on this job to work with this demon lady to protect this priest because this priest has something to do with like peace treaties between the two of them. And it's just basically them trying to get across the city, protecting this old guy while a lot of horrible things happen. And basically in the end, it's got like this weird twist of, oh yeah, the old guy's trying to get the two of you together to have a kid to make peace between the two species.
That sounds very 90s.
It does, and I don't know how with as horrible of creatures as the demons are in the show, how that could make a peace treaty. Because like the girl that's a demon, she's actually not like a bad person at all. She's actually got kind of a cool power, like her nails like grow out like these long like claws that just slices things in half.
Oh, like was it Lust from Full Metal?
Oh, yeah.
Kind of like that. I think actually Lust probably was inspired by that.
Oh, probably.
But it's like the things that happen to her are horrible.
Ugh.
Yeah. I could also like just honorable mention in that sense. Another dark movie that honestly I thought was kind of creepy is Lily Cat.
I haven't heard of that one either.
Lily Cat is a anime movie that basically take the Thing and aliens and put it on a space station.
Oh,
it's
nice.
This microbacteria thing that eats people or like infects them and then like consumes them from the inside out, like on board the spaceship. And there is a killer android cat like controlling the whole thing that was put there by like a corporation.
So Japanese version of the Thing and the Alien combined.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. That actually sounds like a cool movie.
I personally, just with the 90s style, I thought it was kind of a creepy sci-fi movie.
It sounds creepy, but I also really like the Thing. So
Yeah, and it fits with that, except for this like space bacteria also like can infect the computer systems and stuff.
Oh, so like the angel from Evangelion.
Yeah, it's a little of everything.
Yeah.
But like there's this scene where like they're looking at a hole in the wall because this thing is in the wall, like the hull of the ship.
Yeah.
And they're looking at it's like this amalgamation of faces, and then like this face of this lady that ate like pops out of the wall and then splits open as like the
Ugh.
face of the cat like lunges at this girl.
Oh, okay. That's weird.
That reminds me of the SpongeBob movie where there's a lady giving ice cream, and it's actually the tongue of a giant monster.
SpongeBob, see if they have peanuts.
What? Okay, I'm not. We're not.
Yeah.
gonna go into
Anyways,
that.
Lily
Okay.
Cat honorable mention for number 3 because it's in that same 90s dark category.
Wait, number 3.
Number 2, sorry.
Oh, okay. Bivouac.
For my number 1, it's the SpongeBob SquarePants movie because of the monster thing.
That's false. I have the list right
We
here.
have number 1 is Monster. All the other ones were dark because they have like really dark, messed up concepts, and most of them are very fantastical. But Monster is really dark because of how realistic it is, and it like focuses on like the worst of humanity, and just like all the situations feel very real, but in like a really awful like way. Like it's not just being awful to be awful or being horror to be horror. It's more just like this is a situation people are in, and these are the horrible things that happen.
Yeah.
Like mistreatment of like children in orphanages, or like experiments that like it takes place like after World War II era. So there's like this history of experiments to get like the perfect like child like soldiers. So there's all these like really awful things that, even though the story isn't like a true story, a lot of the concepts and things it's based off is, and the setting is very realistic for its time. So it feels very real even though it's not. And just like the main villain being this like serial killer who his whole like worldview is based on proving that everyone is just as horrible of a person as he is if they were put in the right like situations. So he manipulates everyone he comes across to do like the most horrible things. And then through that he's kind of like trying to prove that everyone is just as awful as he is. So it's a really dark story with a lot of the things that happen. Like there's a lot of terrible stuff that happens in like the red light district in the area. There's a lot of like one of the kids thinks his mother was like in the red light district and she abandoned him, and he wanted to find her. And the villain is like, go through the area, find her, and if you don't, you're basically worthless and nobody loves you. So the kid is like 5 years old or something, goes through, gets super traumatized, and then is like about to kill himself afterwards because he feels like his mother and everyone he cared about abandoned him. So there's just like a bunch of really terrible like concepts and stuff that feels really realistic and shows some of the worst of humanity. And then the main character is kind of like the opposite of that, as he's trying to show like the best of humanity while
Yeah.
also trying to hunt down and kill the main villain because he's such a monster.
Hmm.
It's a really, really good story, really interesting concept, and just it's so realistic. It's a drama mostly, and it kind of turns more into a thriller by the end. Um, but it's a drama with a lot of mysteries about the history of things that happened, and the main like villain and his sister and how their life came about, and all the like terrible experiments and different things that happened through like this one picture book that was used to like brainwash children.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, it's got a really interesting like horror like message, and you find out some like things that happened where you're like, where it kind of looks like this is why a character is doing these things, but you kind of find out he was like that way before this like whole
Yeah.
situation happened. So he was just kind of like Satan from the start. So yeah, it's a really good story. I definitely recommend it. It's like 60 episodes or something though, but
Oh wow.
it's a very like realistic and it's a really good
I
anime.
feel like a crime drama.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like a crime drama. It's the main character is interesting. Like there's a ton of just little side stories with these side characters and how they influence the main character and
Right.
teach them through, and everyone has these like problems and situations that they're dealing with, and it's all really interesting. So
That does sound like a really good show.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm ever gonna watch it just because I don't know if I could bring myself to watch a show like that that's
Yeah.
that long.
it's long and it's just a drama. So there's just
Yeah.
tons of dialogue, not a lot of stuff happens.
Right.
I
for the most
feel
part.
like as a person that like shows like Black Spot and Blacklist and stuff,
Mhm.
probably would like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you probably would. All right. My number one is a little anime called Elfenlied.
Elfin lied.
Yeah.
I thought she was telling the truth.
Nope, she lied.
Dang.
Yep, it's all a lie. That's the darkest part.
That is super dark.
Here, I thought you didn't think that show was dark.
You know, when I was making my list, I was like, this is probably like the darkest show I've seen.
Just remember the thing of the one character, Papa, I did this all for you, as ripping other character apart.
Yeah. So there's elements like that, but the main story is there's these sub race of humans. They call them sub, but really they're actually more evolved than we are.
Yeah, aren't they like the predators to humans?
Yeah, basically it's kind of like the X-Men thing where there's a gene being like developed into certain humans and it gives them horns, like small, like basically cat ear looking horns, and it also gives them invisible telekinetic extra hands.
Mhm.
Depending on how powerful you are, you have extra ones or least ones, but nobody can see them besides for like other. I think the main term for them are elfin.
I don't remember.
There's a scientific term they call them, like
You keep going.
yeah. Anyways, so the main character, Lucy, basically is being tortured and constantly experimented on by the government. Like they do horrible things to her all the time, and like they're like very hard to kill.
Declonus.
Yeah, Diclonus. They're very hard to kill, so they do all types of experiments on them. And of course, they don't want these people to actually live, so they're trying to figure out how to kill them and how to get rid of like the gene in humans, because technically these could take over the earth. So the biggest thing is she ends up escaping that facility. The facility is like on an island off the coast of Japan or whatever. Like that. She escapes, basically murders half the facility, and ends up escaping to the island. She loses her memory because she gets shot in the head. So she gets split personality where I forget her childlike personality's name, but I think it's like Anna or something like that. It's a very simple one. She ends up meeting this college student that just moved back to like this town that he grew up in and is living with his cousin that wants to, this is the most messed up part, wants to date him and marry him. So Sweet Home Alabama stuff.
That's the darkest part
That's
of
the darkest
show.
part of it. It's definitely not the child stuff. What's her name? I'm pretty sure it's New. Her name is New. So her child
That's right, because
person,
isn't that all she can say?
yeah, is New.
New.
Basically, she makes like cat noises, but like most of the time when she's around these people, she's in that child person. Like she can barely take care of herself. Like most of like the fan service part is like her like stripping off her clothing and the guy having to like put it back on her type of thing.
Yeah.
And like she's totally like innocent child type character, but like she'll snap randomly, especially when the people that are trying to, like the government that's trying to hunt her down, like they use other elfin that try to hunt her down. There's this one that has really bad daddy issues, and they try hunting her down, Nana. And basically it all comes to the point where she ends up like murdering a lot of people. And it comes to like the climax of like, does she end up like actually killing the main head, or does she like actually like, does she go full monster and like just like takes her place as the person that's gonna like end humanity, or does she like try to regain her humanity?
Mm.
And it's like that end decision. But there's a lot of dark stuff in between. Like there's like whole like backgrounds to characters that are just like probably the darkest I've
That
seen.
is a terrifying concept of someone who seems innocent and fine, and then
Yeah.
there's another side that can just suddenly like.
And that's the thing too, is like she'll
crazy.
just like she grew up in an orphanage, and like she had this like little dog,
Mm-hmm.
and she loved the dog, and of course these bullies, because for some reason Japanese bullies just take it to a whole nother level. They murder her dog.
Dang.
So that's when she snaps and figures out she has powers, and she just murders them.
And
Yeah.
then there's like, I think where it really finishes off for her is she, after she runs away from the orphanage, she makes a friend with a girl. It's like, I don't care if you can do all this stuff. We'll just live together forever.
Yep.
And be best friends. And then like the task force that's there to collect the main character just like kills her friend
Yep.
in cold blood.
And then she ends up getting like sent to this train, and it's a 2004 anime. I can spoil it.
Yeah.
Like if you haven't seen Elfen Lied yet, you
It's in that
should either pause it, watch it now, or you're never gonna watch it.
It's in that list of the controversial
like
anime.
basically it ends up her relationship with the college student, the guy, comes to the thing of he lost his parents in a train accident,
Mm-hmm.
like when he was a kid. And it turns out Lucy, when she was running away from the government that time, because she didn't initially get captured as she was running, went into that train
Oh.
and murders everybody in that train because she gets cornered. And the kid's parents in the kid are there.
I think his murders his dad and sister.
Everybody.
Yeah.
And then he blanks it out from his memory. So he totally forgets that whole thing. And it's a really dark psychological show.
Yeah.
And it deals with a lot of like topics of like, well, is there truly good people, or are they all just always going to be either evil or okay?
And like the one, was he a bounty hunter that comes after him, and it's just like at the end, it's like, ah, screw it.
Yeah.
I'm just going to hang around, keep an eye on you.
Yeah, the crazy military guy.
Yeah.
That like harasses a woman. The first thing like he sees a woman, it's just like, I'm just going to harass you now.
The one thing I can say about Elfen Lied for is kind of like, with it being in early 2000s, the translated version of it doesn't deliver very well, but
No.
darn are the scenes beautiful in the
Oh,
show.
yeah.
The artwork is absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, it's really good.
Like my favorite thing, and it's kind of a core theme of the show, is there's this staircase. It's kind of how you get around town.
Yep.
And it's like there's this staircase, and it's like it always just kind of captures like the scenes of like afternoon, or like there's these flowers, or it's raining and stuff. And
it's really cool.
The world itself feels pretty cool. It's
Yeah.
actually pretty chill.
Yep.
For such a crazy show.
It's got to end with someone saying, "Did Elfin tell the truth?" And they said, "No, Elfin lied." Dun dun dun. Then it goes to credits.
I mean, it ends kind of with you don't know if the one main character is dead or not.
You don't know if the main
Yeah.
character's dead. You don't know if Lucy's dead. Like it kind of ends with just lots of explosions. Kind of like a Michael Bay film.
I think the
Yeah.
darkest part, though, is there's this little girl that they make friends with, and the whole reason she's living with them at all is because you find out like she's been like horribly abused. And
That's what I was
hurt.
referring to. I didn't want to go too deep into that because I know that can be a sensitive subject.
No, but I mean that's a pretty terrible.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
theme.
That's the darkest part of the whole show, is just learning her backstory.
Yeah.
And like she doesn't even have it that easy too. Like when she gets mixed up with Lucy and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, your last one, ramen.
Udon.
Udon,
Mr.
Bob,
Udon to you.
cat, this, son.
Basically, if it's a noodle and it's a
Food.
food, I like it. Anyways, my number one is Mira Nikki, or Future Diary. Not because it's creepy or anything, but just because it is freaking messed up.
Yeah.
Kind of in the same realm of Elfen Lied Monster.
It came out from that generation of anime, so that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Basically, in this story, the god of everything is basically on his way out, and he's like, I want to find someone to replace me. I'm going to distribute these phones with various like future telling abilities, and people are going to fight in a death match, and I'm going to see how horrible humanity is.
Nice.
So he gives it all kinds of different characters. Main character, think I don't remember the main character's name. I think it's Yuki, but he's just a crybaby.
Yeah.
He's just horrible. He can't do anything for himself.
Shinji syndrome.
Shinji syndrome cranked to 11 for no reason.
Oh dang.
And then terrible with names. Anyways, pink-haired yandere girl is
Mhm.
just that pink-haired yandere girl, and she sees this as like an opportunity to be close to him and to protect him, and she'll kill anyone, even herself, so that he can become God.
That sounds like a wholesome relationship.
And it's like a lot of the villains are just kind of subpar. Like there's this one lady, it's like a military person that she's trying to win the tournament, and she like ends up in like this weird like relationship with this cop that's investigating like all these murders and deaths and stuff. And they have kind of an interesting dynamic. But like the messed up parts is like one of the competitors is like a 5-year-old child who the main character and yandere pink-haired girl are like at his house, and this 5-year-old child shows up, and they're like, oh, he's lost. Well, take care of him until his parents find him. Well, it turns out this kid is a competitor and like is trying to murder them, so they end up having to kill him.
Yeah.
And it's like at that point the show kind of cranked up a little bit, but the season finale of season 1 was where it really took it to the extreme, because the Andre goes even crazier and takes the main character hostage, beats him to basically Stockholm syndrome level. Keep in mind, these are only like 13-year-old children.
Well, that's normal for anime.
Like beats him and like Stockholm syndrome, and by this point there's like they've made allies with other competitors and found some loopholes around like the rules of the game.
Yeah.
If you lose your phone, you're out, you're dead.
Okay.
You have to like kill the person and like claim their future diary. And basically it ends with like this main character's allies showing up, and here's both the characters like just in their underwear. The main character's tied up in a chair and just like having been tortured by his yandere girlfriend. It's just, I don't know. To me, it's like if it was all adults, I'm like, oh, this is another day in the park. But with it just being basically preteens, it's like,
Yeah.
dang,
Yeah.
this is dark.
I think that's where anime really is darker than a lot of like regular Western shows or like live action
Yeah.
Western shows try to be edgy, where a lot of anime and mangas seem to just, we want to disturb you and really show you that this is a bad guy or
Yeah.
this is a bad situation.
Yeah.
I think that's part of animation too, where you can show like children getting abused, whereas live action it doesn't work as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
It's all dark, like especially when children are involved. Like those
Yeah.
are the darkest parts of it, but animation, especially anime like that, it gives you a leeway to tell a story like that necessarily live action can't.
Yeah.
Like even like you can't necessarily do like a story where like a town gets mass murdered very easily in live action.
Mhm.
yeah. Well, you can, but the way Western media handles it is, oh, this is fun. This is offhand. Like this
Yeah.
doesn't matter. These are nameless, faceless people. Where most of the time, I know there's shows still like in anime and stuff, but most of the time it's like, oh, look at all of these innocent people that have lives and stuff, dying at the hands of this horrible thing.
Yeah.
Like they put a little bit more weight in it, because in the West, like, what's a good example? Oh, the newest Hellboy movie. They basically like showing like the old ones or whatever that are being summoned into the city and stuff, and they just kind of just offhand are murdering people, and it's meant to look fun.
Yeah.
And like, oh, this is great entertainment, and they do it in such just like weird ways. Like random guy gets grabbed, and then like this thing like cuts him in half and then like rips his skin off, but it's like done in a way that doesn't make you think, gee, this thing is really evil. It's just,
Yeah,
oh yeah,
it's-
look at the carnage.
It's more of like an oh ding.
Yeah,
Yeah.
ooh, instead
Yeah.
of a oh my god.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, and I personally, I don't like that. Like, I don't like the idea of finding it entertaining watching random people be harmed.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like, it's one of those things, sparks the anime protagonist in me. So it's like yeah.
I get it. I get what
Yeah.
you're saying. It makes
Here's the
sense.
soapbox.
Yeah. But no, like anime definitely is a good outlet for dark shows. Some of the best anime out there, I'd say, are on the darker side. Like obviously you have very popular shows like Evangelion and
Yeah.
Made in Abyss and stuff
Well,
like that.
look
so.
at Evangelion. Would Evangelion really have as much weight if it's an adult with a bunch of baggage rather than a child?
No.
A child who literally has the weight of the end of the world on his shoulders.
Yeah.
I mean, you have like characters like Misato and stuff like that have a lot of baggage. And,
Yeah, but the thing is adults, like, yeah, they might
Yeah, it's
deal with it in
different.
the best way, but they have a way to direct it
Yeah.
in some way. A child does not.
Right, exactly. And that's kind of what it deals with. Kind of like how innocence of kids and stuff can be
Warped
twisted and warped. Yeah.
Mhm.
But anyways, hope you all enjoyed that very depressing and dark show. Yeah,
So dark.
so dark.
it could have been darker.
I mean, do you want to get demonetized?
Are we monetized?
No, we're not. Here we go.
Technically, we are. We have a sponsor.
Yeah, we are.
Who's our sponsor?
Anchor.
We
We
already
did
a
the
sponsor.
ad
I
read.
thought it's like there was someone else besides Anchor.
They only pay us for one sponsor spot.
Oh.
Give us more money.
Technically, you could put unlimited ads. I tried it one time. I just like put as many as I could on there, and it's just like,
And we're back. Do you have balding?
anyways, yeah. So hopefully you enjoyed that episode. Besides for that, we're gonna sign off for tonight. Wheeze.
This has been Baka-Talk, the edgiest anime podcast. I'm Wheeze. You can find my videos on KBW on YouTube. Please subscribe so I can hit 1,000 subscribers so I can get monetized.
That would be cool.
And that way YouTube doesn't just put ads on my videos and makes money off of it without me.
Yeah.
I feel so left out. Otherwise, you can find me on Twitter at KBW Author and on Instagram at the same thing. But if you can help it, don't get Twitter or Instagram.
Just do YouTube.
Yeah.
YouTube is the worst. Okay, site.
If you're gonna make a deal with the devil, just do it with that one.
It's at least entertaining.
YouTube is the best, worst social media.
How about you, Ramen?
They can find me on Twitter at RamenCat13. Not that I really ever check my Twitter account anymore because, like, I try to avoid politics, and
Yeah.
Twitter is like, hey, look at these world events. Look at them. Enjoy them. Eat them. How about you, Boom?
Well, they can find me anywhere the podcast is, including YouTube, which is Baka-Talk Studios. They can find us, of course, on Spotify. I mean, if you're listening to it, you found it. So there you go. You can contact us through askbakatalk@gmail.com. There you can tell us that we're horrible or that we're great. I mean, I'll accept both and read them both, and it'll affect my psyche the same. You can also find us on Twitter at TalkBaka, which is our handle, or it's just Baka-Talk, the regular. I think if you type in either or, you should find it, right? I'm looking at
Yeah.
you, Weeze, because you know the internet.
You know what?
Yeah, it should be. I don't know.
Why don't any of you guys that are listening out there in the cold, deep voids of the audio land, send us your list of what you think are the top darkest anime.
That would be cool.
Please.
That's
no
a great
hentai.
idea.
Yeah, well, if you send it, we will read. No hentai?
No hentai.
Aw. I wanted some good recommendations. Dang it. Anyways, yeah, if you send those, we will read them in the next episode, and we will either berate them or congratulate you on having a darker list than us.
And go tell your friends to listen to this freaking podcast, you weeb. You made it this far.
That's
Hey.
true.
What's
If you're
wrong
listening-
with you?
The power has already went to his head.
Hey, he's got a point. If he's made it if they have made it to this point,
There's
They
two
might have
options.
problems.
One is they have friends who would also like this. Two, they have no friends, and that's why they're listening to all of this. If it's option one, go tell your friends
Wait.
to also listen to all of this.
Wait,
if it's option two, put
Go
this
get
on your
friends.
speaker and just point it in somebody's face until somebody listens to it, and
Yes.
they become friends.
Wait a minute. If they have no friends and they're listening to us because they have no friends, thusly, by proxy, we are your friends.
We are your friends. Now go get more friends and use.
Now, I just
Them.
feel like we should just record more like every day. Hey, how you doing, bud?
We are not starting that channel. That's for OnlyFans, and I'm not becoming that.
I got nothing better to do.
You can
Wendigoon
post your
started
feet
a
there.
thing of him being like dad to his audience, like, "How you doing, son?"
Are you winning, son?
Anyways, yeah, hopefully you enjoyed the episode. Hopefully you can go find friends or hang out with your friends. Anyways, just have friends.
Yep.
And we'll see you, us, your friends, on the next episode.
That's all for us.
Bye.
Jam meow.
Goodbye.